Hiya folks, and welcome to another Irish Whiskey Review with me, Marty Macaulay. I'm a little bit orange tonight. I feel like President Trump. It's because of the light. Now, I have lights in here that are very strange. I'm going to have to do something because this looks a bit orange and the other ones are a bit harsh and they glow and make you gleam a bit. So we'll work on this, Everything's a work in progress. So I hope you're all safe and well. It's a Sunday night. I'm doing this on a Sunday night. Did the show last night. Went well. Good figures. Me and Justin had a bit of fun. So if you haven't seen that, you can catch up with it obviously on the channel, or look through Facebook on the videos on Irish Whiskey Review. So tonight we are going to do Kirker and Greer. Kirker and Greer. 10-year-old cask strength. Now, I did this I've been doing an alcohol advent on Instagram Reels, which is a 15-second whiskey review. So I put a filter on, do the whole Santa Claus. I call myself Slancha Claus. I said this to a girl during the week, and it took her an inordinate amount of time to twig on what I meant by this. But eventually she got it, so hopefully you understand. And I did this last night, so I've reviewed another one of the Kirker and Greer range, and I wasn't overly impressed with it. But this is a different beast. This is a 10-year-old cask strength. Now there's big pushes to have this. There's a cask strength crusade is on currently. People want more cask strength whiskies, blah blah blah. I don't necessarily agree with that, if I'm honest. This is at 56%. 56%. The human body's not designed to drink much of anything at that percentage. It's just not. And there's this idea of the purest levels. The purest levels are this is the cask strength that's as pure as it can be, and blah blah blah. Cask strengths are really really good for various reasons. That you can play with them, you can water them down, you get to see what it's like straight out of a cask, possibly, and then go through. The problem is, lots of time cask strength doesn't mean it's taken straight out of a cask. It's taken out of multiple casks. They're not single cask whiskies. This is a different animal. They are blend of that malt, of that single malt, and just left at whatever they water it down to. So all you're really getting is more alcohol in the bottle. Now that has an interesting quality to it, but it's not necessarily ideal. And I'm sure there's lots of blenders out there who kind of think to themselves, well, we're not releasing this tasting as good as it possibly can. Now, I like some whiskies at cask strength, little bits of it. I like other whiskies at 46% plus. We'll say 46 to 48. I think other whiskies benefit from being at maybe 42 and a little bit above. But there are a lot of whiskies that when they're at 40%, to get them as tasty as possible, you need to put water in them as well. 40% ABV is even a little strong for most people. Now, if you're only going to have possibly one or two drinks, and even two at 56% is a little much. So I understand people wanting expressions at cask strength, but I don't want all of them at cask strength. I want the distillery to release the brands as tasty as they think that it is. in its natural form. I like it in a pure sense. But yeah, the cask strength Crusade, I see it can run its course very quick, with me anyway. But that's just my opinion, folks. Obviously, everybody's entitled to their own. As I say, I just think 56% is okay for possibly a whiskey, but you're sitting with a lot of friends, and 56 isn't really what you want to be drinking, because it's going to be a very short night, and it's really not where it would need to be, you know. So, 56% single grain whiskey. So anyone who's not sure what single grain is, it's a grain whiskey. So it's not malted barley. It's kind of a different style. The way it's mashed, the way the mash bill is, it can be. There's lots of stuff that you can do with a single grain whiskey, because it's not malted barley. Now, a lot of the time they'll go through a column still instead of going through a pot still. But then they're aged, then they take on different characteristics, and it's a different style of whiskey. So, it doesn't tell you on this what it is, but it says it's aged in first fill American oak ex-bourbon cask. Now, if you look at the colour, and I'll show it actually in the bottle. Now look at that big deep colour. That colour is almost like what you would get from a sherry cask. And the reason it's like that is because all that's been in this before is bourbon, probably only for a couple of years. So you're getting it brought over, and it's not, the cask hasn't had a huge amount of usage. You will get different casks that just say bourbon cask. When they say that, you have no idea how many times those have been used before. You'll have bourbon in it for a couple of years. Then you normally will have first fill. It'll say first fill. That might not be the character that they're looking for that whiskey, so it'll be transplanted out of that, then put into another cask, and reused and reused and reused. So it might surprise people just how long these casks are used for. There's so many different little tricks and ways that people do things. You can have a 10-year-old whiskey that's been in cask for 10 years. But what they can do is they can put it in one cask, first fill bourbon, maybe for 2 years. Then take it out and put it into what's essentially a neutral cask. It's not really going to age it very much. They can say it's 10 years old and say it's been in 10 years in ex-bourbon casks. But the second maturation, if you like, hasn't really done very, very much to it at all. Now they can't say that the claim is on this. This is 10 years exclusively in first fill bourbon casks. So it's lots of time to suck all the goodness and all the congeners out of the wood. But when people get too hung up on age statements, there's ways and means of playing that where you can. It's basically a falsified age statement. So again, there's lots of people, I won't drink anything less than 12-year-old whiskey. Well, you're missing out on lots of things as well, but the distilleries can play about with you, and this does go on, folks. It does go on. Now, I was going to put water in it without nosing it and tasting it first. Now, there's a bit of a label. How'd that happen? There's a little bit of label has found its way into. Right, come on. I didn't think it was going to be fishing tonight. That doesn't bode well. Oops. Anyway, whoops. Now, on the nose. First thing I would say is it's too much. There's too much alcohol there. But you're getting nice deep fruit, a fairly rich sort of deep tropical fruit. So I'm talking there about some of your melon, banana. There's a little spice to it. I'm going to say it's kind of cardamom. It's like that Indian style. So it's cinnamon, cardamom, those sort of Indian spices that you would sort of put it at that end of the spectrum. I'll give it a little taste and then I'll have to put some water on it. Yeah, too much burn on it with the alcohol being so heavy. A lot of heat of that, but it's still coming through on the tongue. Again, that fruit, lots of toffee, even flavoured toffee, and you know the difference I mean from the fruit and toffee to the flavoured toffee. There's an almost artificial taste to it, but that's not a bad thing. I'm not putting that down as a bad thing. It's kind of a hybrid of the two, which actually works quite well. If you've ever had, like a banana toffee, banoffee, there's nothing wrong with it. It's, what I mean by the artificial is it sort of meets in the middle. I'm going to have another little drop at 56. Yeah, tiny little bit of licorice there, but again, there's just too much heat, and that's simply because it's sitting at cask strength. Nice dark, really dark chocolate. I'm talking 80-90% cocoa on the finish there. So we'll put a little touch of water in this. Now, Kirker and Greer, and when you put water in this, you get lots of the oils starting to separate out. I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of this. That works out about a teaspoon. Now, Kirker and Greer, again, another Lazarus brand brought back again from in Belfast by the guys down at Drinksology. The Drinksology do a lot of branding, do a lot of drinks, and lots of stuff to do with the alcohol trade. Yeah, that even just a few minutes after putting that in, you start to notice a difference. Now you're starting to get more of the cinnamon. Some of the chocolate that you're getting on the finish is now coming through to the fore, and it's coming up. Yeah, lots of honey now coming through. Nice balanced sweetness actually. Now it's triple distilled, so the mouthfeel on triple distilled whiskies can sometimes be a little bit. Oh, that chocolate note comes through really strong after the finish starts. It comes through really towards the end, and it's nice rich cocoa, nearly like chocolate powder. Yeah, I like that. So triple distilled whiskies and single, especially being single grain, the mouthfeel sometimes lets it down. But what I would say is this is in and around £50 a bottle, 55 I think, and for a good well-made cask strength whiskey, that's exceptionally cheap these days, considering Irish whiskey prices are now starting to get a little bit crazy. They're starting to just go, and for a cask strength whiskey that's 10 years old, anything with any age to it these days, and you're starting to see it just going crazy with prices, because people are making money on the secondary market, buying them and flipping them and selling them at extortionate amounts at auction. So the distilleries think to themselves, why don't why don't we make that? Why don't we charge that now? So you're getting this, it's like a balloon going, prices going up. So grab yourselves a bottle of this. If I'm going to rate it, yeah, get this, put a little water in it. As I say, my little teaspoon, my little spoon has about half a teaspoon each one. That's a teaspoon and a half. Yeah, there's those Indian spices. That cardamom comes through quite well. Again, even just quickly after adding the water, you're taking down that alcohol that can burn people. You know, even people, I drink whiskey quite a bit, and even that percentage is too much. You just cannot get the best out of it. So up it's coming, and yeah, that is good. Yep, good. Nice balance to it. The water, where it was originally, there's a little harshness, the heat that catches you too much, overdoes it. A couple of bits of water in it, a couple of teaspoons of water, takes it away down, makes it much better, much better. So that mouthfeel, again, a little bit weak on the mouthfeel, but it's got a decent amount of flavour to it. It's got sweetness, and actually, I'm quite surprised by this because for it being first fill bourbon casks, it doesn't have bang of vanilla, which is I actually quite like that it doesn't, because so many bourbon casks it's rammed down your throat with the vanilla. Nice flavour that it is, but too much sometimes, and you like something a little different. This doesn't have too much vanilla in it by any stretch. Yeah, again, that lovely chocolate powder, cocoa powder, high chocolate or high cocoa chocolate. Yeah, this is quite good. I like this. Again, it's bought in, but all Kirker and Greer ever did really was buy in, bond it whiskey. They bought it in, bonded it, released it themselves, whatever way they wanted to taste it. Now, if you're ever down near St Anne's Cathedral, you can go and have a look. The Kirker and Greer building's still there, and looking well it is. So yeah, I have to give it a mark. I'll give this a reasonably good. Yeah, I'll give it 7.5 actually, and 7.5, a strong 7.5. Yeah. So looking at a Christmas present, it's not too far away, folks. This would be one that I would recommend. Give it a whirl. At the price it is, get it bought now before the shops go. Maybe we could add an extra £10 to this, and it wouldn't look out of place. So yes, Kirker and Greer, single grain, triple distilled, 56%. Yeah, very nice first fill bourbon. So enjoy yourselves, folks, and we'll talk again soon.